We've sold Cornish hens here for years, but it's not often that we feature them in a recipe, so let's try them out. We're going to start by dicing up half an onion with our onion dicing method. If you want more details on that, you can check out our Southwest style omelet vid where we go over that in detail. Next, we're going to slice up 1 cup of mushrooms. I like to cut the stem off the mushroom so I have a flat edge, then I thinly slice the mushrooms. That should give you a nice look like what you see on pizzas. At some point, it gets a little hard, so I flip it onto the new edge and thinly chop the remainder. Put those in with the onions and we'll set that aside for a minute. Now we'll dice up half a cup of dried apricots. I started by cutting these into slices, but it occurred to me that it would be easier to stuff it into the hens later if they were little cubes, so dice them instead. We'll chop up 1 tablespoon of parsley and set that aside for a sec. Now over medium heat, we'll melt 3 tablespoons of butter, then we'll add our onions and mushrooms. 3/4 cup of chopped pecans. We'll fry that up until the onions and mushrooms have softened. Now we'll add in our parsley, 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne or more to taste, our apricots, some salt and pepper, about 3 or 4 cups of wild rice. This is a lot of rice, but we're planning to serve the birds on a bed of rice later. If you don't want to do that, you'll probably only need half a cup of wild rice. As always, we'll give that a little taste and adjust for seasoning. I added a little more salt and pepper to mine, then I pulled it off the heat. Set half of the rice aside for now, we're going to save that for plating. Time to prep the hens! This is pretty simple. We'll pat each hen dry with some paper towels, make sure to get under the legs and little wings. Once that's done, we'll try stuffing it with our hand, realize that doesn't work all that well, and continue stuffing with a spoon instead. The number of spoons you fill it with depends on the size of the bird, but usually it's about 3 or 4. At the end, you'll want to tie the legs together with some kitchen twine. Once those are prepped and ready, we'll set them in an aluminum foil lined baking sheet. Make sure to spray that with non-stick spray. Now we'll paint these with 2 tablespoons of melted butter. We'll toss that in the oven at 350 degrees for 2 hours uncovered. About 20 minutes before our timer is up, we'll prep our glaze. In a pan over medium heat, we'll combine half a cup of apricot preserves and 1 tablespoon of white vinegar. Cook that until it thickens up a bit. Then with a little movie magic, we'll come in and paint the glaze all over our hens. Toss those back in the oven for 15 more minutes and we'll prepare a veggie to go with our main dish. I wanted to branch out a bit and try something new, so I went with the quick lemon sauce over Sno Pac's organic broccoli florets. We're going to start with a half a cup of sour cream, 4 tablespoons of milk, 1 teaspoon of lemon juice, and the zest of 1 lemon. Stir that over medium heat and cook until everything is incorporated and slightly thickened. And that's it! Serve it all up and enjoy! We'll see you next week with another delicious halal recipe.